Welcome to And a Diet Soda, an opportunity for people to celebrate their successes, share their failures, and hopefully give a little advice on all things relatable along the way.
This community is for appreciating the little things and fostering positive mindsets and intuitive thoughts by talking to people, because chances are they've been through it too.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Jess.
And I'm Sav. Welcome to And a Diet Soda, episode 14, Dressing for Confidence. So
it's just the two of us today.
Just the two of us. Just a short episode talking about a couple of really cool topics, and bringing some things full circle for you as well. Jess had a great idea to talk about dressing for confidence and different types of brands and clothes and whatnot. So where did that like stem from for you? What made you start thinking about this?
Oh my gosh, I always think about it. I mean, I think that recently I've started to like really reflect on what would look good on my specific body type, because I think that I used to do so much online shopping and I'd see these models that are so petite and so cute and they look really good in whatever they're wearing. And then I would order it thinking it would somehow look good on me, like a slightly bigger boobed, bigger ribbed person. And then it just doesn't. And then for some reason it makes me feel bad, even though it never would have looked good on me in the first place. Like it's just not the right style to flatter what is most beautiful about me. And so now I feel like I shop and I like really try to look at the quality of the clothing and like where the seams are, where the hems are, that kind of thing, and start to recognize what's gonna flatter me the most. Because everyone has different body types. My rib cage is not the smallest. Like it's not that I have like rib cage fat. It's just that it's
big boned,
technically larger, right?
Same.
Yeah. So I'm just starting to recognize those styles, and setting yourself up for success in that way is really important.
Yeah, I think it's so funny that you're talking about the swimsuits, because it's like, I don't know any of my friends or myself who like don't have like some type of swimming suit from these online clothing companies from like the middle of China, right? That just like mass produce swimsuits. And like, yes, I like looked online, even when I was like in the best shape of my life. I look online, I order some, I'm like, this is gonna look so cute. And then I get it and I put it on and I look like a busted can of biscuits. Literally. Like somebody took me and hit me on the edge of a corner of a table and like the biscuits pop out. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh my God. That's so much better than a sausage casing. I'm never referring to anything as that busted can of biscuits. That's interesting.
That's like what I look like. And it's so sad. It's just, there's so many different types of bodies. And so I still like do not have a bathing suit that I love and feel confident in. I found one that's like Roxy, I think I got it at Tilly's, and it was like a $15 bathing suit, but it's a one piece and it like drops down the back, and that one's good. So I do like that. But as far as bikinis go, like I just have like I have very wide hips and things don't seem to fit, especially at the front. Like I'm not trying to give myself like a front wedgie every time I put a bikini on, and that seems to happen.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the thing with one pieces is it's like it's either gonna pull on your shoulders down so that your boobs are almost out, or it's gonna give you that front wedgie, and it's terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible. Or so the other day I was on TikTok, and this one girl is like, she had a similar body size to me. She calls herself mid-size, and I'm like, that's accurate. And she like was doing a bikini haul and tried on all these swimsuits that looked really good on her, and I was like, I should try these brands. And then I looked, and each one there is like $100 for the top and $100 for the bottom, and I'm like, can we get some good recommendations for bikini size or for bikini brands that are not going to break my bank and also not the thinnest fabric on planet Earth coming from China?
Totally.
Like, yeah, we'll try to do some research and like link below or something on stuff we found that we like. But it's hard because Target is like obviously everyone's go-to. I feel like it's affordable, it's right there, you can go try on stuff, but it's hit or miss every year.
Yeah, at least you can try them on though. I mean, that's the hardest thing, is buying things online and not being able to try it on. But yeah, we can definitely do some research. We should. I'd love to like find something that I like, but sadly all I've seen is the same exact thing, is like you have to pay the money if you want the quality and for it to fit you correctly, which sucks because who has $150 to spend on a
Not me.
swimsuit?
Yeah, exactly. I think you have to just like push through it though. Like, as discouraging as it can be, you have to keep trying things on because eventually something's gonna look good that you like. But yeah, I mean, like Sav and I were talking about the other day, and actually I was talking about with so my friend Toby from high school, and she said that it was insane working at Lily and seeing all these women refuse to go up in a size. They would look like a stuffed sausage in the dress or a skirt, but if they went up a size, they would look rockin'. And I always tried to remind them that no one sees the label, so who cares? But so many of them were so hung up on the size. It's also insane how in one brand your size changes. I have some dresses from Lily that are a size 0, and the ones that are a 6, and then ones that are a 6 or even an 8. And my Lululemon pant and skirt size is a 6, and my shirt size is a 10. Insane.
It's so true.
That doesn't epitomize sizing in the US between brands. I don't know what does.
Yeah, and I feel like it's something that women really struggle with too. Tall women too. I mean, oh my God,
Oh,
the
yeah.
different sizing. And I mean, we've talked about jean sizing and Jess's amazing TikTok that blew up and everybody loved. It's just so relatable, but with everything, I mean, Lulu's bad. I love Lululemon. They're my favorite. Like yoga pant, as far as how long they last and the quality of them and how soft they are. But yeah, I mean, it's funny that she says size like 10 shirt and size 6 pants. I think that's exactly what mine is. And it's just,
Yeah.
it makes it hard for everybody involved because then people are returning clothes and people are trying on clothes. And it's just frustrating to stand in the mirror and like we just associate a size 10 with,
Yeah.
I don't know why that doesn't mean you're unhealthy. Actually, Jess and I were just having a conversation before we started recording about different sizes and how it relates to health. I mean, somebody can be quote quote mid-size, not this teeny tiny little thing, and be metabolically healthy. That's the difference. Metabolically healthy in terms of, great heart health, great cardio health, somebody who doesn't have visceral fat, which is fat surrounding your internal organs. So there's a lot of different ways that you can be healthy and not be some picture perfect little model. I also told her that that I was watching a TikTok from this girl who was like 26 and she was tiny little thing, like had abs. And she was like, this is what I look like. I literally never work out. And I just found out that I have like high cholesterol and heart problem from how I'm eating. So it doesn't matter what it looks like on the outside, but that is exactly how society has made us think is like, oh, 10 means fat and unhealthy. But really, you know, any size can still be healthy. People can still be healthy at all these different sizes. So I don't know. It's just a crazy thing to come to terms with. And I feel like
Yeah.
that's how I feel with a lot of things we talk about. Like when
Yeah,
we sit here and start
absolutely.
to like debunk things, it's just like, holy shit, how are we like
Yeah.
thinking this way? How is this what's happening? But we should talk about confidence in general and how that's transformed over the years because I've gained a lot of confidence over the years. You've gained a ton of confidence over the years. You're just like the truest you that you can be. So I feel like that encompasses a lot and encompasses the boy talk as well.
I don't know. Uh confidence shows through in so many different ways. Like, depending on what you're confident in, like it is so much easier for me to fake confidence or be confident in like a work or a professional setting than it is for me to fake confidence around boys. Because I feel like it's so much more of a hit if it's so much more of like a personal attack if it's in your personal life versus in the professional life. And I don't know, I've never been good with boys at all. Even still, like I don't know. I come across confident, but if I'm confident, then that probably means I'm not into you. If I'm really weird, then that probably means I'm kind of into you because I don't know how to act.
That's so crazy. The difference though between us is I've always been in some type of relationship, right?
Mhm.
Um, and I feel like I used to get a lot of my confidence from guys I was dating, or I like
Yeah.
relied on them to like make me feel whole or something. And that led to a lot of really bad things and a lot of dark places. I mean, you know that my very first relationship was an abusive relationship, 110%. It's also something I like never talked about publicly. One, because he doesn't deserve the time of day. I don't know, it's an important concept because you are fed if someone has ever been in this position that's listening, and you're fed those lies of, I was told things like, no one will ever love you, no one will ever love you the way I do, very manipulative, awful things. Or that one guy I dated in college told me that at the time I looked so fat that my arms looked like I ate McDonald's 8 times a day. Like really awful things. So I don't know. That was the hardest thing to overcome for me. I wish that I was more like you, where I didn't put as much time into guys, because I look back and I'm just like, I wish I would have been a kid. I wish I would have not worried so much about these guys and these awful things that they were saying to me, and just enjoyed my life and really learned how to care about me without having to find my worth in another person. So if I'm giving advice here, I guess, first of all, fuck those people if they ever don't waste your time. It is so anxiety inducing. It created a lot of problems for me in future relationships too, but take time alone. The best thing I ever did was to take time in between relationships and figure out who I was. And unfortunately, it took me a lot of years to get there. But the confidence aspect that comes into it is to look back and to recognize your worth, everything you've done, the things that I've done, that I've accomplished, like everything that those people said to me were not real. That's, like you said, how sad for them. Like, what was wrong with them, like that they had to say those things. So it's hard to talk about, but I feel like if you can give yourself that time and space, and last week we talked with Taylor about that year mark, giving yourself that year, giving yourself that growth period. I mean, you can find confidence, and then that can lead you into other things like dressing for confidence and finding things that fit you and really figuring out who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like trying to find the silver lining and all that is you built yourself the tools to be able to be the kind of person you are now, and to recognize those red flags and not be in those kinds of relationships, or avoid them, get out of them, whatever it is. And I think that's such a unique quality. You're not in the cycle anymore.
Totally.
So that's really important.
Yeah.
I don't think you're not giving yourself enough credit for that. I mean, you went through hell and you got treated like shit. And through years of therapy,
Yep.
which we all need, you have now like morphed into this amazing person that is able to have healthy relationships with yourself and with others. And I think that's really special.
Yeah, I think it's really hard to not be in those moments anymore. I think trauma does this thing to the brain. And that's what those experiences were for me. Like, they were traumatic, and they were like created PTSD even later on. And so my mom will be talking to me about even people that I grew up with. And I'm like, I don't know who you're talking about. Like, those things that happen, like my brain literally blocks them out. Like, I blocked out a lot of time in my life. Like, I ran away from home as fast as I could when I got the chance to go and experience life. And people should do that and live other places and try new things. But your problems are going to go with you no matter where you go. And so you have to figure that out within yourself, because it's much harder to be sitting alone in an apartment in San Diego and being like, oh my God, like, what did I get myself into? This is what I'm still going through. But yeah, I mean, it took a lot of work. It took a lot of years that could have been spent better and happier. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I will never let people do that to me again. I will not waste any more time or any more years. And so it's crazy. The whole thing looking back is crazy. It doesn't feel like it was real. It doesn't feel like it was my life. And I was just so young, and it's sad to see that. So as hard as it is to talk about, and you don't want to give those guys the time of day, I think it's important, because sadly it's not uncommon either to be in these abusive relationships. Mine were physical and emotional abuse, but a lot of them can be just emotional abuse, and you can't, not just, but emotional abuse, and you can't really recognize. It's so hard to be in those moments and be like, this is emotional abuse. Like, to them, you're thinking exactly what they're telling you. So, but thank you for your kind words. Clearly, I don't know how to take a compliment still. So I'm working on it. But so the other side then is your life, where you've been able to like fully live out everything that you wanted to do. Like, right? Like, you've been able to date multiple different types of people. But the coolest thing is the comparison of like, we both ended up in a place where we know what we want and what we don't want. Like, you might have not had these years long relationships, but you still know 100% what you want because you've dated different types of people. You've seen these different qualities in men, and you're just like, don't really want that one. Like, so you've still reached a place where you're like, I know who I am and I know what I want, and you're not gonna settle for that. But it's still super hard to open yourself up to people, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the fact that I like give off that energy. That's great. But does anyone really know who they are 100% of the time and what they want 100% of the time? Like, it is ever changing. What I want in my career is always changing. What I want in a partner is always changing. Who I want to be personally and how I want to treat others, that's always evolving. I'm always working on that. Yeah, looking back, I think I've come a long way, but there's always room for growth. I think that the biggest negative of being single, because I've been single for a while, like I've dated, you know, I've had like nonchalant kind of relationships, no one that I would ever call my boyfriend or introduce to my family, but people that or boys that I've gotten, men that I've gotten to know on a personal level and really felt connections to, but it's just never evolved into something more because I love my independence. I love that I don't have to answer to anyone. I can do whatever I want. That's awesome. But I also think it's a huge adjustment when I do get into a relationship and all of a sudden I'm answering to someone else. I am letting them know what I'm doing, where I'm going. Do you want to come is a big one. Because for me, it's not that I'm doing it on purpose. It's just that I'm not used to it and I haven't done it in a while. And so I don't know, it's scary to like, for me, it's not the letting someone in that's scary because I'm a very open person. People ask me anything and I'm just like, yeah, of course, I'll tell you. But it's the responsibility part that scares me because I feel like I can be neglectful and it's not anyone's fault. But that's definitely something I'm gonna have to work on. And I think that's a single lady's problem. I think that anyone's listening who's like chronically single, loves to date, loves to go on dates, loves to meet new people. I think that if you really think about it, you'll kind of resonate with that. And it's a fear that I have, like that I've kind of always had surrounding dating is like, am I acting right? Like, am I doing this right? Like, I don't know. And the truth is there's no right way to be in a relationship. It's just what works for you and what works for your partner. But there's always that like fear in the back of my mind. Like, should I be like reading a book on how to be in a relationship? Like, I don't understand.
The cool thing too is how like how many different types of relationships there are now. And it's like you can break this norm, and that is such a hard part, is to be like, the hard part of being in a relationship is sometimes being like, man, I wish I could just do what I wanted and not have to answer to somebody. And so it's like there's the grass is always greener, I guess. But I don't know, the cool thing is that you're going to be able to find somebody that like if you truly want to be with him, it won't be that big of a deal to invite. Like, you'll want to invite them places, right? You'll want to ask them if they want to come along, or you won't have an issue telling them, you know, where you're at. But there are some fine lines too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think for me it's just like also I think there's different parts of opening up emotionally, because you can tell people things and confide in people, but if for me it's a line drawn in my head. Like, this sounds crazy, but in the past when I've dated different men, and there was one guy, and to this day I feel so bad about it, but he told me he loved me and I was like, what are you talking about? Like, you don't even know me.
How long were you dating for?
Like 2 months, which is fine. Like, there's no timeline for that kind of thing. Like, you feel what you feel.
Yeah.
I was like so closed off, and I like compartmentalize relationships in my brain, where really I just need to be more open to things. So lately that's been my goal, is to just be more open about things, because I feel like I'm like Chandler Bing if you guys watch Friends, where there's that episode where they go back with all his girlfriends and he finds one little thing that he doesn't like about someone and he like totally disregards them. And if that ain't me, I swear, I'll be like, his voice is just slightly too pitchy for me, or like, well, I don't know, it's like the teeth for me, which actually teeth are a big thing for me, but so I've been trying to just be a little bit more forgiving when it comes to that stuff, and going into it with more of like an open mindset, because I get myself into situations like that a lot with they're feeling things that I don't know they're feeling, and we think we're on the same page and we're not, or vice versa, or whatever it is. Just a lack of communication. So yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of things for me to work on, which is like, come and get it, boys.
Yeah, someone's got to rock Jess's world and like show her what it's like to be with a real guy that treats her good. And
Oh my
the
God.
thing is there's always gonna be something wrong with people too, and everyone annoys me, so it's really hard to date me. But there's things that annoy me too.
It's really hard to talk about because it's also something that you don't want to admit as a woman, that you're like not, because I think that I'm a nurturing type. Like I love kids and I love my niece, and I'm definitely like, I'll mother my friend group and everything, but as a woman you don't want to admit that you're bad at relationships and that you have something to work on. And in general, I think women don't want to admit that they have something to work on, because somehow it makes you weaker, and you don't want to be weak. We're already painted as so weak in society that anything that makes you weaker is just a no-go.
Right.
And so admitting that I'm bad at relationships is like really, really hard.
You're not bad at it. That's the thing about dating, is like you're consistently learning. Like you said about not knowing who you are. I mean, we're consistently learning about other people and what we do and we don't want. I mean, you're
Yeah.
also like when we were at Fuzzy's that time and you were talking about, I feel like it has to do with mindset too, and the place that you're at in your life and timing. Like maybe if you were like not consistently busy and working, you'd be like, your mindset might be a little bit more different to like, okay, I can try to like work on this to see if I really want a relationship now. But I feel like you are so set right now, which is a great thing, on, being independent and gaining your master's degree and working and furthering your life. And like right now, that just doesn't really include somebody else.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like that's amazing to be a woman and to be able to know that and like take charge of your own life. Like you don't need somebody else to be there while you're creating like a career for yourself and gaining confidence along the way.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've said this before, is like, I wish, because it is a huge time commitment. To get to know someone is also a huge time commitment. And for that to go nowhere is so annoying, because you're like, oh, I already spent so much time getting to know you and I don't like you enough to pursue it, but I feel like I should. Which is why I like don't date during our busy season, during the breeding season. It's like, it is too much. I said it before, like, I wish I could just jump right into the good friends like portion of the relationship and then start dating, because the getting to know you is so annoying.
I think it's like such a fun part, but it is so anxiety inducing. Like the people that and I think maybe we should like give each other parts of us, because I'm like way too intense when I'm just like, that is really hard for me, because when I get to know somebody and it didn't work out, like I'm like, I just gave you like a part of me, and like now you're just gonna run around in the world forever and like know like my life story and that's it. It's also hard to recognize that like people come into your life for a reason and at a right time, and maybe they're there to do something or help you through something, and then that's it. And that's really hard for me. I'm just like that, but like, whereas you can do, like, you've always been so good at doing that, but it's cool to see the differences too.
Oh, no, I think I would love for you to give me that part of you, or at least a part of that part of you, because I think that that's my problem, is like, I'll convince myself otherwise. Like, I'll be talking to a guy, and if like the most minor inconvenience happens and I'm like, shut off. Like, that's it. That's all for me. And I can like compartmentalize, like, oh, well, that's over. Like, before I give anything, like, actually to them. So
That's crazy.
it's not good. It's not good.
No, it's not crazy. we're just different people. It's cool.
Yeah.
One day, I mean, it's gonna come through for you at the right time. And that's,
Yeah.
I mean, you're always working on yourself consistently. You're one of,
Right.
for somebody who is so busy, like you should be really proud of yourself for consistently working on yourself. I don't know how you even have energy to function half the time.
I think it's the people that challenge you that make you work into a better, like that's what, because there's like, you're always gonna have coworkers, you're always gonna have friends, you're always gonna have people in your life that you're like, why are you the way you are? But really you should be looking at them like, you're challenging me and making me into a better person. Because if we're all surrounded by people that are 100% the best people that they can be all the time, then you're never going to improve as a person. You're never going to learn
I
what
love that.
you like, what you don't like about other people, about yourself, and it's all contributing to you. I've always said that the minute you think you know it all is the minute you stop learning. So
Totally. And it's like that saying, like, never be the smartest person in a room either. It relates to so many different things. Is like, if you're the smartest person in the room, like something's wrong. Like, then yeah, where are you gonna learn? So
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know. Side
exactly.
ramble.
I want to hear an update on your blood sugar, on your mental health, everything that we talked about this last the last episode that it was just the two of us.
Yeah, so we talked a lot about mental health, and I shared a lot about my personal anxiety and what that looked like. And I'm not kidding you when I say, like, not even a week later, I'm talking to Jess and I'm like, I felt like no anxiety, like at all. And she's like, okay, well, what are you doing? And I'm like, my life is obviously about health, and I'm researching things and I'm learning consistently. And so when I was really young, I was probably like 8. I went to the doctor, just to my PCP, my primary care physician, and they told me, oh, you're hypoglycemic. And I'm like, okay, cool. What does that mean? Right. And they're just like, oh, you have low blood sugar. You should probably eat like more frequently. And that was kind of it. So from then on, I like tried to remember to like bring snacks and stuff with me and whatnot. But I was like always much like pretty much eating. And so I never really thought anything about it. So I like came across a lot of literature on, blood sugar and hormones and how it relates to your mental health. And my mom has told me for, it's gotta be frustrating for her. It's gotta be frustrating to be a parent when you tell your kid to do something and they don't do it. But she's always told me to like check. I should be checking my blood sugar all the time, just to like stay on top of it. And so I was like, I freaking hate needles, and I know it's crazy because I have tattoos all over my body, but it's just like different. I don't know why, and I like freak out. So I finally was like, I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna like put that fear aside. I need to like get on top of this, because if anything can help me feel not like this anymore, like it'll be worth any type of finger prick or pain or anything. Because I was really bad at that time when we talked at that episode. Like I was all over the place. There were so many like stressors and like, I don't know, areas of anxiety for me. So I started doing it. And what's crazy about hypoglycemia is it's very much the opposite of diabetics. So diabetics can wake up in the morning and their blood sugar is just through the roof and they need insulin. So either their insulin receptors aren't working or they don't have enough insulin to pull that glucose into their cells to use for energy. But for me, like, I can wake up and my blood sugar is really low. Like a good fasting glucose is anywhere below like 100, but 90 to 100. And I can wake up at like 50, and that's extremely low. And I need to like get myself up. And I'm not kidding you when I say, since doing this, like anxiety equals like hangry for me now. Like the feelings that I felt when I'm consistently anxious is like, now I know like that's what I feel when I am low. Like my blood sugar is really low. And so that can also happen when like I can eat a meal and sometimes like I'll check my blood sugar after, I'll be like 115, I'm good. And then an hour later it drops down to 80. And that's just what happens. And so, yeah, I mean, like I said, the week that we talked, like I felt no anxiety, and I like haven't felt anxious since then. And I don't know how long it's been, but like because I'm able to monitor it, um, like I don't feel anxious at all ever. Like I feel like me. I feel like I'm like alive again. And I don't know. I think it's good to talk about because one, you don't have to be diabetic to take your blood sugar. And it's something that maybe a lot of people might consider doing. I'm not saying it's the end all be all for everybody. There are still obviously times I'm going to feel anxious in my life. It's still something that I'm going to struggle with. I have anxiety. So, but right now it's just like, it's not defining me, and I'm able to utilize, different tools to not feel like that. So.
Yeah, that is so fantastic. That's amazing. I mean, when you figure something out about your body and how it relates to your mental health and your emotions, that is like the best feeling in the world, right? You're like, there's a solution. There's concrete evidence, and that's so cool because so much with mental health is a guessing game, and so much of the medicine and the treatments is like, try this for a month, and if it doesn't work, come back. But also, and people get so discouraged, and it just sucks. So to find something like actually concrete is so empowering.
Yeah, especially for somebody who's like so into science and like it's like I have solid evidence right now. Um it's just yeah, it is empowering, and I thought everything. Like when you're in those state of minds, like you're like I am literally crazy. Like something is really wrong with me. I maybe it's my birth control, maybe it's like there's all of these things that can be making me feel like this, right? And so it's a really good place to start. And it's just you've spoken to this actually in previous episodes. I like lose track at this point. We're already starting to do so many, I don't even know which ones they are. But you said that you have to be your own advocate in medicine, and it's so sad to me that anyone has to advocate for themselves to that extent in medicine, because obviously I have a solid education in this, and I'm not a doctor. I don't have medical training right now, but to be knowledgeable around how the body functions and the physiology around it, and to go to my doctor and have an educated conversation with them, and to still be told I'm the picture of health. Like that is what my blood work told them, everything. Like I'm the picture of health. Meanwhile, like I'm going home and crying because I can't be at the gym because I'm so anxious. Like it is so frustrating. And I can really relate to people who, whatever your condition is or whatever you may be feeling, that you go to the doctor and you feel unheard and alone and lost, and that something's really wrong with you because medicine can't tell you otherwise. I really encourage you to put those thoughts to the back burner for a while and explore your avenues and options. Do your own research, maybe take your blood sugar, do what you need to be doing for you. And it sucks, and I'm sorry if you're going through that. But be your own advocate in your own life too, and take what you can into your own hands and try to figure it out, because sadly sometimes you might not get an answer and it's really hard.
Yeah, and that can be intimidating too because there's so much false information out there, especially medical information that just as a disclaimer, there's nothing wrong with like read everything. Like homeopathic medicine is awesome, works for a lot of people.
No, there are naturopathic doctors, and they actually go to medical school. It's a 4-year medical program, and they're
Yeah.
naturopathic physicians. So they're NDs, and they still fully understand how the body works and whatnot. So that's also, yeah,
I didn't know that. That's cool. I didn't know that that was a degree.
yeah, it's very new field. I mean, people have been practicing natural medicine for a long time, but there's actually, it's such a like new and small thing that I believe that right now there's only 7 naturopathic medical schools in the country. And that's
Wow.
crazy. There are hundreds of medical schools for MDs and DOs. So we should actually bring, I know a couple of girls who are um, in naturopathic medicine as well. So that would be a really cool aspect to talk about, because I mean, I'm a firm believer in everything, as integrative medicine is like what I love and hope to get into. It's a combination of everything, of
Yeah.
using allopathic medicine and also naturopathic medicine and fitness and exercise. Like the body is one. There's no denying that anymore. Like there's such a solid base of evidence
Yeah.
that is so true, that everything's connected. So like you're saying, yeah, there's so many options. And
Yeah.
good disclaimer about you go onto social media, like everything is telling you something different. So do your research and find what works for you. That's the biggest
Right.
thing. And we've said this a lot about a lot of different things, but every single person's different. So find what makes you feel good and what works in your body, and not just because taking blood sugar for me works. I mean, I'm a firm believer that's like a very physiological thing that a lot of people might need, but it might not necessarily, get rid of anxiety or depression. There's a lot more to that. So you have to figure out what works for you. But Jess is my biggest hype woman. I told her that, and she was like, yes.
Sav, we were at a brewery, and Sav she was like, do you want to try it? And I was like, yeah.
Like heroin.
Yeah, but I'm like terrified, right? Because I'm the same way. I also have tattoos, but like any shots, needles, like, oh my gosh, when I got the COVID shot, I was like looking away.
Same.
And, like, yeah, it was terrible. But I did it and my blood sugar was like 160. So whatever that means for me, Sab was like, that's really high. Have you ate today? And I was like, no.
You're like, oh yeah, I had a cupcake for breakfast. I was like,
Oh,
okay.
I did have a cupcake for breakfast. Yeah. Yeah, that was that.
Like, power to you, girl. Yeah.
It was so good. It was lemon flavored. That's like breakfast.
Like lemon poppy seed.
Like lemon poppy seed.
That was my favorite. That is my favorite. It's delicious.
Yeah,
just
I made them homemade. I'll make you some.
Make them gluten-free for me, please.
Yeah, I
will. Yeah, that was funny. That was super funny. Just like it's actually super hard and embarrassing though to like.
She had to prick me twice.
Yeah, Jess is not a good bleeder.
Yeah, no, she was like, I was scared. She pricked me. She ran it. It didn't work. She was like, do you want to try again? I was like, I guess. You already pricked me once.
I had to like turn the needle up. Like you didn't bleed enough.
I didn't know that you turned the needle up. Bastard.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely something that's helping, but I try not to do it in public. But sometimes I know, and I'm running like an actual experiment on myself right now. Like I'm tracking everything. Yeah. So if I do eventually need to go to a specialist who specializes in diabetes or anything like that, like I want to have a full record of everything that's going on in my body. So yeah, thanks for asking. I'm glad to talk about it.
That's a really great point too, is that like there's keeping a record. If you have dietary issues, there's obviously, I'm not like a big fan of keeping a dietary log if the goal is to lose weight, but if you have because that's not exactly the most like mentally healthy way that you could be doing things, but if you could get like chronic stomach aches and you have no idea what it's from, then keeping a food journal can be really, really helpful. And so just write down what you eat in a day, and when you get a stomach ache, highlight it, something, whatever that day, and then just start looking for patterns, looking for correlations. Because I'm one of those people where it'll be so random for me, and I'm like, I literally don't know what I'm eating, because sometimes dairy does it, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes gluten does it, sometimes it doesn't. And so, just keeping records of yourself.
Yeah, that's a great comment too, because the gut is crazy, and I love the gut. We should talk to. I actually did an Instagram live with one of the doctors who's like leading gut health. But it's crazy because everybody's guts are so diverse and different. It could be small intestinal bacterial overgrowth or SIBO, or it could be IBS. But a good example is my younger sister right now literally is going through something similar and having to be mindful of things that she's eating, and my mom and her are trying to communicate about it and record it. And it's no surprise that gluten is an issue for her, because my family has a long line of gluten intolerance and even celiac disease. So that's a great way to really pinpoint what works for you, and maybe communicate with your family members too, and see like what kind of common themes are there here as far as dietary restrictions that might make me feel a little bit better. There's just so many different resources out there. Podcasts are a great way to really learn about things too. Just so many different types of specialists and people who really know what they're talking about. And yeah, I'm a fan of I literally have my journal right here, and I write everything in it. What you are learning, what you may be eating that's upsetting your stomach. It doesn't have to be like, dear diary, today I felt sad. Like you can just like really record a lot of things down in there, and then you have that record for yourself. So I think that's a good wrap up on where we're at. Jess and I'm in Colorado visiting right now, so we're gonna go to a brewery tonight and be very on brand and enjoy our drinks and food and not stress about it and just enjoy each other's company, which we're super excited about. It's really fun to be able to be here and see my friends, especially Jess, who I just see always on my screen. And I'm like, oh yeah, you have a human body. I forgot. All right.
Well, a mid-sized human body.
Yeah, we're both mid-sized for sure. I'm a big bone gal myself.
Very excited.
Yes.
Yay.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us today for this short little episode. We're so happy to be able to talk about such a variety of things and kind of come together just as the two of us as well and talk about things that we want to speak about, just the two of us, or maybe some updates. So thanks for listening. We're really excited. We have some great guests coming up as well. So we're getting the schedule really solidified and we'll get those out to you shortly as well. So let us know also your experiences. We continuously love. We get so many messages. It's amazing. I'm like, wow, like people are listening to this. It's so crazy. So we just appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we love to hear about what you want to hear too. Like we've gotten a lot of really great ideas and some people refer really amazing people to us that are like, this person would be great for your podcast, which we totally appreciate. Social media is a beautiful thing, and we find all of our guests through social media. And so any recommendations that you guys have or you want to hear from would be awesome. So keep on sending those our way.
Yes. And just as something to look forward to in the future as well. I have people close to me, but also a couple of other people who have been interested in learning more about nutrition and in the sense of how to read nutrition labels and kind of things to look for. So we have a couple of great guests about just genetics overall, but also about how to read those nutrient labels and how to, what's the difference between a meal and a snack, and are you fueling your body properly? So we're getting really excited about those too.
Absolutely. Yay.
Awesome. So find us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter. I think I got all of them at And a Diet Soda. Join our community and follow along with our weekly challenges. We really want to get people involved in those as well. So thanks again, and we will see everyone next week. Thanks for listening. We hope you were able to give yourself a little love today. You deserve it.
Be sure to subscribe to this podcast and check us out on social media for weekly conversations and attainable challenges for your health.